Thank you. All right, and I'll just address our district mission and priorities. The Greene County Community School District, in partnership with its communities, will promote lifelong learning through real-world experiences of priorities of academic excellence, recruit and retain quality staff, resource management, and community relations. Please call the roll.
Davidic.
Here.
Fields.
Here.
Fisher is absent. McConnell.
Here.
Silva.
Here. All right, and could we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Davidic.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Okay, now is the time for open forum. This is on the agenda to allow patrons of the district to communicate with the entire board. Is there anyone that would like to do so at this time?
I would. I'm Darren Jackson, and tonight I'm here representing First Presbyterian Church at Grand Junction. We applied for a grant from the Presbytery of North Central Iowa, and we received $1,500. The grant was for the state, in its wisdom, has recently discontinued paying for school lunches. And so we know at our church what a hungry kid, how hard it is to learn. And so we would like to give a check for $1,500 to help defray costs of the lunch program.
You want to take a picture?
That's very Let's take it.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'll come join if you care.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. Tell
You
everyone
bet.
thank you too. That's
I-
amazing. If anyone else cannot do that, go ahead. No, are there anybody else that would like to address the board? Okay. Thank you again. All right. We will move forward to consent items. Do we have a motion? And actually what I want to ask to do is if we can approve the consent items, but if we could have a motion to pull out the 2 retirements and recognize those separately. First, we'll do a motion to approve consent items.
So with the exception of the retirees.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Go ahead and call the roll.
Fields.
Aye.
Davidic.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Silva.
And now we'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the voluntary retirement of 2 longtime people. We have Jerry Gettler here tonight. She served 21 years with the school. I got to work with her for a little bit, a part of that. And then Robert Stouffer, who's been here for 12 and a half years. So if we can just give them a round of applause for all of their work. Thank you for your service. And then we need a motion to go ahead and let them be approved for that. So if we could get a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to approve those 2. I'll second.
Okay, can you please call the roll?
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Davidic.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna move on along here to old business. And that would be the 2023-2024 official school calendar.
Open the public.
We need to go ahead and open the public hearing. Do I need to read that, Brenda?
No.
Okay.
Give people opportunity to comment if they want to. If Brett has anything to say about it, he can.
Perfect. I'm gonna let you kick that off and then we'll see if anyone else has anything to say about that.
Sure. So looking at our 23-24 school calendar, we are proposing to do 2-hour early dismissals every Monday for the purposes of professional development for our teachers, while maintaining a very, very similar structure in our calendar as it's already set up this year with we have all of the same Mondays are built in for mental health holidays for our teachers and for our students. The Christmas vacation or winter break, sorry. Is the exact same length and time with the same work time and PD built in for teachers as well. And there was some consideration for removing spring break and kind of shortening that up and maybe moving that around. But we had about almost 70% of staff in communities said that they wanted to keep it as a full week. So we are going to maintain that full week. So by and large, the calendar hasn't shifted a whole lot. The number of hours went from 12:04 to, I believe it was 11:46. Just in that reflection there is simply for the reduction of student hours based on PD hours for teachers. Other than that, that's and finish before Memorial Day. We'll keep it on that one.
All right. So is there any comments from the public for the public hearing? All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And then we need a motion, I'm assuming, to approve the calendar for the 2023-2024 school year.
I'll make a motion to approve the calendar as presented for the 2023-2024 school year.
Second.
Motion and second. Please do the roll.
Dominic,
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields,
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Thank you for everyone for their feedback on that. Got a lot of feedback.
Absolutely.
All right.
Outside of this meeting, they received a lot of feedback.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Okay, we are gonna move on to another old business item of the middle school roof. The consideration of the bids. We opened that up last time. I think we received a few of them. So they're,
Brett Turner should.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me?
yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Brett Turner with the Garland Company, we had 3 competitive bids participate in the re-roof project for roof section 7 and 9. Just want to bring the board up to speed on a couple of things that happened since we last met. There was a change in scope of work that took place on roof section 7. Instead of being able to reuse the insulation that was existing on that roof section, we had to change that to a new tapered ISO system, which had an effect on the budget here. Can't reuse the foil face, so we had to go with the new tapered system. The difference in that quoted budget and what the submitted bids were was about $60,000. And the budgets that we had come in were all within 5 to 8%, so all pretty competitive there. Just like to go through those with you guys here briefly. Brockway Roofing base bid was $306,000 with a material cost of $161,020 and a new drain of $3,200, resulting in $470,020. And that is our low bid. If you guys want me to go through the other 2, I can.
You do not need to if we're gonna recommend the Brockway roofing.
Yep, that's the recommendation.
We've worked with them before in the past and they've done a really nice job for us.
And then just to reiterate the timeline, this would start after school's out and be done before it starts.
Correct.
Any other questions for Garland Group for Brett? Okay. So then we would be looking at a motion to approve hiring Brockway Group to do the roof project as kind of laid out here. So we would be looking for a motion in a second for that.
So move to go with Brockway Roofing. Give me the dollar amount. $470,020.
220.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the one I'm looking at,
We got a math teacher in here. I'm pretty sure that's
yeah,
We'll go,
470, 220.
yeah.
so 470, 220.
I was just reading, I didn't do the math.
Yes, me. There's the right one. Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we please call the roll for this project?
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. We'll sneak back over to the revised policy. Again, graduation requirements, we just keep tweaking as we get recommendations from the people that know best. And so we're looking at 505.5. And this was just, you want to touch on what this just was?
Yep, just adding the addition there for the limited English proficiency students and the graduation requirements. We have students who move in that we can develop a plan for them specifically. And stepping out the actual language that it's public speaking and not speech. And then just updating the math, biology, English credits there for 10th and 11th graders. And we're gonna have new ones coming here next month, so.
Okay, so this is a working, ever-changing
it's
document, it
always
seems
super
like.
fluid, yeah.
But we will keep working on that and improving that as we get recommendations that are needed. So this is not changed from last month. This is the same one we looked at
Same one,
before.
just
So this is
second
just the
reading.
second reading of it.
So do we want to approve it now if we know there's more changes coming? All right, then I'll move to approve the revised policy 505.5 graduation requirements.
Second.
John, I heard him first.
Oh.
Right? Please call the roll.
Dominic,
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
So long.
Aye. Okay, now we're gonna move to probably the reason a lot of people are here soon. First, we're gonna start with the superintendent report, right? For the
Yeah.
math data first.
Superintendent's report, we're gonna start with elementary.
Very good. You guys take over.
How about our
Elementary.
student staff
Go.
regulation?
Go, you're
That's what I
on.
thought. I thought you said that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna
Nope.
get that taken
Okay,
care of before we.
So
talk about
the
numbers.
first I want to recognize our January students. Our January actually started off as December and then turned into January. So let me get my notes. Cameron and Liliana have had a lot of just you guys have been very patient. So thank you to you too. All right, I'm just gonna use this. Can I do that? Okay. So the first thing that I have is, I have a certificate for you, Cameron, and I have a gift card for you, okay? So I want to just tell everybody why you were nominated or recognized for your class. So this is what your teacher says about you. Cameron is always respectful, responsible, and safe. He makes good choices and has a really kind heart. He is also great at participation and helping others when needed. All right, and Cameron brought mom and dad with him today, right? Okay, and he is in Mrs. McDonald's second grade class. So here's your certificate.
Round of applause for.
Congratulations, Cameron. All right, the next one I want to do is Liliana. Again, she's been very patient, just like Cameron. Liliana is in Mrs. Fish's fourth grade class, and this is what your teacher has said about you, Liliana. She actually knitted some hats for kids and gave them to kids in need for the school. The hats are very well made, so you are very kind to others. Somebody got a grade 1, so that's pretty fun. You are a hard worker, have a positive attitude, and a friend to others. So congratulations, Liliana. All right, our staff for, yes,
Do you mind saying her last name so we can record it? in the minutes?
Liliana Gobble is in 4th grade, okay, and Cameron McBride for 2nd grade.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so our staff for January, Robert Hemping, he's not here tonight, but I just want to formally recognize him. He is our janitor at our school and does literally everything, from shoes off the roof to cleaning up all of our messes, like for real. Any mess, he is on it. So he was our one of our staff members, and our other staff member is Shannon Hansen from January. So she's our instructional coach, and she does a little bit of everything for us too. Is kind of wherever we need her to be. She'll do anything that we ask for us. So I just want to formally recognize them. So if we could give them a round of applause. All right, and our students for February, I have Jordan Schmidt. Jordan Schmidt. Did you hear that? Okay. Jordan is in, now this is actually great for me because when you're by yourself, I know it's Jordan. When they're together, I don't know the difference between the two of them. So Jordan came with her mom, Samantha, and she's in 4th grade. She's in Miss Huff's 4th grade class. And this is what your teacher said about you, Jordan. Jordan shows kindness to everyone. We had a new student join our classroom and Jordan was extremely helpful by helping this student in many ways and made sure that he felt welcome. So you are always willing to help and do the right thing. Congratulations, Jordan. All right, Merrick Muir is our next student to recognize. Merrick is in Mrs. Brown's first grade class, and this is what your teacher, Merrick, said about you. Merrick is a very conscientious and hardworking first grader. He puts forth his best effort into everything he does. I love his desire to learn, ask questions, and deepen his understanding. He sets an example of excellence in behavior and cooperation, and he is kind and helpful to everyone in our school. One of his accomplishments so far is that he's becoming more comfortable with new situations, probably like this. This was shown on the 100th day when he came dressed as a 100-year-old man, and he was a very good-looking 100-year-old man. So keep up the great work, Merritt. You are rocking first grade. All right, want me to do our staff too?
Yep.
Is that okay? All right. So our first staff member that I want to recognize is Jessica Goffner. She is our associate for kindergarten, and how we do staff at the elementary is I have your colleagues nominate staff members, okay? So this is what your colleagues said about you, Jessica. Jessica stepped into a role that was new to her this year, and she continued to learn and just do everything that was needed of you in kindergarten. You've actually done lots of different roles this year, not just kindergarten associate. You are a joy with a positive attitude and a huge help in our classroom. So congratulations, Jessica. And all right, our next staff member is Erin Daniel. And Erin teaches computer science. Actually, Erin starts off at the elementary school to open her class, her idea lab up for the kids. When they come to school, they get to have some choices. They don't just have to eat breakfast. There's some options around the building. And the idea lab is like the highlight of, I mean, if you're little, you kind of want to go there. So there's Legos, and she starts at the elementary, opens her room up for that, and then teaches computer science to kindergarten through 4th grade in our school. So here is what your colleagues said about you, Erin. Erin has worked hard to get kids excited about computer science and engineering. You are utilizing the display case at the elementary. The things that the kids create in the Idea Lab, they get to be displayed for a little bit of time. Not only that, but you are adding to our morning choices, like I said, that allow students to find something fun for them to do. You always are willing to lend a helping hand, and you are wonderful at helping us solve our technology problems. So congratulations, Erin. And that's all for elementary. Middle school.
Mr. Z.
Good evening. Although not present, I do want to mention our January nominees as well. Hannah Fouch was one of our students, 7th grader, daughter of Dustin and Megan. Her teachers said about her that she comes to class with a smile every day. She works well with others and always asks questions for clarification. Lucas Daniel was a 6th grader that we nominated for January, son of Nicholas and the aforementioned Erin Daniel. Lucas is a great role model to his peers. He always participates in class discussions and gives his best effort. Most importantly, though, Lucas shows kindness to everyone consistently. We are very proud of him, his teacher said. Our staff member recognitions for January were Bobby Hunt. Bobby is a new custodian in our building, and the staff members in our building are selected by the students. The students recognize what Bobby has done so far in his short tenure in our building. First year of service, kids have noticed his work, his effort to keep the school looking good, and his honest approach. Sometimes it's brutally honest, but in middle school, sometimes that's the best approach. Students said that he's always working, he cleans up their messes, he wants us to have a nice place to go to school. And our teacher for January was Mrs. Tammy Moore. She teaches in our 8th grade literacy program, her 24th year at Greene County. Students told me about Mrs. Moore that she's flexible when they have activities. She keeps class together was their word, to help us learn. She's firm and passionate about her classroom. So if you would collectively give them a round of applause. I'm glad we're getting tonight in. Yeah, happy for tonight. So the people that we want to recognize tonight from the middle school, again, the students were students of the month throughout the year, and then based on teacher recommendations and pretty much my observation throughout the building, we brought them in for special recognition. The first one tonight is Natalie Towers, an 8th grader. She's the daughter of Justin and Diana Towers. Her teachers wrote about her when she was selected as student of the month, that she is a joy to have in class. She always has a positive attitude. Natalie is also a great person and friend to her peers. Way to go. Personally, I have seen Natalie helping others almost daily by either helping them with a chore somewhere in the building, setting a great example for them, or just being a genuine listener. She has a sincere desire to provide comfort and direction for other peers. And I really appreciate that about her. She's polite, she's responsible, she's respectful. I do question sometimes her safe choices though, because I've witnessed her ability to eat some really strange combinations of food at lunch. I'm not going to say it was a dare or not, but she handled it no problem. And no, that's not a safety. No concerns, just very happy to have Natalie in our building, and she makes us better. Natalie, would you come up, please? Appreciate it.
Should probably offer a public apology to Natalie as my dogs were charging out. So,
Our second student for February is Emily Baugh. Emily's a 7th grader, daughter of Ronnie and Renee Baugh. Her teachers wrote that you do a great job with the RAM expectations and you always go above and beyond to help others. And I would say I have seen that from you personally. I've witnessed that she is supportive of her friends. She speaks out on their behalf when she feels like they need to be advocated for. She has provided comfort for them. She's been open to allowing others to join her group. And recently, I've seen her move her whole group to join another student who was eating alone in the lunchroom. And I just have a great deal of respect for somebody of your age that can do that and not feel self-conscious. That's really cool. She is thoughtful, she's kind, and she shows empathy to others. Would you come up, please? Emily. Fairway, you bet. Our staff members this month, special education associate extraordinaire. I say associate because I think she spent as much time in the teacher role the last 3 years as she has an associate, and we're very grateful for that. Miss Carla DeZuris is a Greene County graduate and a Jefferson native. She does an awesome job for us with the students she serves. She knows them very well. She knows their strengths and their limitations and how to support them. Carla's also served as a substitute teacher in individual classrooms, but she's also been a long-term science teacher in the 8th grade. And she got us through COVID and post-COVID and all of that. And it was really, I think, a good experience for us. And hopefully it has been for her, because she's decided to go back and get her teaching degree. So she's working on that right now. Just amazing work ethic. Works full-time, has a family she's raising, takes classes. I know she's held multiple jobs outside of school in addition to her work here, we just truly appreciate her contributions. Carla, would you come up, please? She's one of those we just depend on every day to keep us going. Oops, right here first. Thank you, Carla. Here's a gift certificate. Thanks, Carla. And lastly, I want to recognize Miss Anna Kozol. Miss Kozol is also, find the right card, she's also a Greene County graduate product and Jefferson native. And she joined our special ed team is it your second year? Second year? Yeah. And has done just a really good job. She is up tonight because the students who I asked about said, have you recognized Miss Colzall yet? Because we see her all over the building with different students, and they're always being treated so well, and they're being held accountable, but they're also being, cared for and helped in a way that gives them dignity. And the students recognize about you, Miss Colzall. Students have recognized also her confidence, her caring, and her considerate approach to helping her students. So, Ms. Kozol, if you would come up, please. Thank you for your time.
For the high school, for January, I've not seen them here, so maybe collectively, we will get one more. We have one here. Grace Curtis, PBI Student of the Month for January. All the PBI students of the month are nominated by staff. And some statements about her: greets adults and students, does her assigned NHS duties and much more, works to better herself, able to take constructive criticism and improve, offers to work when others don't show up. Just snuck it on me. I didn't see it. Too many papers. Katrina Heipel's our other PBIS Student of the Month for January. Katrina has always been an excellent student who goes above and beyond her classes. She's a leader throughout the school and takes every opportunity to show her great character. She's involved in numerous activities and athletics and is always a great representation of what it means to be a Greene County Ranger. Katrina is a leader in two groups that I sponsor, Student Council and Interact. And I know that she can always be counted on to take initiative and follow through on projects. We're surely going to miss Katrina's leadership, kindness, attitude, and service at Greene County High School next year. Certified staff, Teresa Blackburn-Benz is our teacher, who is the January recognition. Teresa's in her second year at Greene County. We are very glad to have stole her from Glenn Ralston. She is always organized and ready for class she teaches. She has engaging real-life lessons for students and consistently uses technology in the classroom. She is a great supervisor of students before school, during lunch, and after school. And she continually is professional, day in and day out. Our non-certified staff member is Kelly Freeman. She is an associate in special education. She is you'd be hard pressed to find a more friendly person in the building. She's encouraging to all students and staff. Most impressively is her ability to calm agitated students and get them to focus on what they can control. We could have a round of applause for all of them. And we have state wrestling happening right now, so I have quite a few there. Jerry Getler is here, however. She is a teacher for January. I talked her out of retirement many years, but it failed. She's awesome. Ms. Getler's the type of person that holds a school community together. She cares about all students and staff and sets the bar for writing positive notes and sharing treats. Our special needs students are very fortunate to have her as an associate. She has a great balance of patience and firmness. So congratulations, Jerry. Close. Mr. Boyd is a teacher for February. Mr. Gordon consistently uses technology to assist in creating engaging lessons for students, from Kahoot, Quizlet, Quizzy, and all kinds of math application games. I dare say even cell phones in class. He uses that to engage students in learning. His caring and attentive manner quickly establishes rapport with students. He is definitely a favorite teacher amongst our students. And our students for February, Jack Hansen is the first one. Jack is always going out of his way to make others and staff feel welcome and important at Greene County High School. He's accepting of other students' differences. Jack works hard in school and extracurricular activities. Last but certainly not least, Emma Hoyle. Emma's always willing to help with any task I ask of her. She is willing to give tours of the school building for visitors and new students. She takes directions very well and efficiently completes what tasks that are asked of her. She is very much appreciated, and she is respectful and professional to everyone. So, round of applause for those that aren't.
Okay, we're gonna take a minute and step outside, and then we'll come back, and that'll let everybody that was recognized clear out if they'd like to, or come back and stay for the whole meeting. So take a couple minutes here.
Yep, so we'll probably all go to the cafeteria if you were recognized tonight in the picture.
Oh, me too. You want me to write? It was for our first trimester. Oh, look at me.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Oh, look.
There you go. Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, sounds good. That's fine.
About to be down today.
Remember, he can't.
And I took her and I But I have to tease anyway.
Oh, yes. See you later.
Bye.
I was about ready to put two on my mind. Thought I better. Hey.
Can I eat one of these, Laura?
Yep, go for it. No, you can have it, because otherwise we'll have to eat it tomorrow.
And you want to look at bills.
Yeah, sorry. They're very still.
They are?
Yeah, I would even wait to bring. We feel the same.
So, you know, that's great questions.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just trying to show me up all the time.
They charge everybody different things, but it'd be like some software,
Oh,
some
so
rental, some.
We could still, even though we can have some that section puzzle. Yep, it was up there. Yep, got your list of what they're trying to get for.
And I pull out the ones that can go different places. Because sometimes you'll see when in management too, like I see right there. Management, that's like an entertainment thing.
That makes sense. So that's how. Which is good.
Certain kids ask about it. Oh, yeah. Like you're in class. Just don't have a dictation here. Don't have any
rules anymore? Should we have any rules?
I don't know. He's the only picture I have.
I bet you have heroes.
My financial. It's me never start half the time.
Trace, you should go. Speaking about heroes tonight.
You're a hero.
Lifetime.
Was that tonight?
And I'm Grace's hero.
I told her she can't go to cigarettes like this.
Oh my gosh, are they, I mean, 4 or 5 years of missing state wrestling.
All right, thank you. We'll get rolling right along here.
I was looking for you.
All right, we are gonna start back up and go back to the rest of our superintendent's report, which is the link to our map data. Now, board members have gotten this to be able to look through a little bit and different things.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, principals aren't in yet. They need to tell. No, you're okay. Oh, there's the other. Oh, perfect. Hiding behind.
Doing our best.
Yeah. So we were just gonna kind of address map data results. So I'll let you maybe kick it off.
So the really important thing to remember about this is that this is baseline. This is the first time we've ever taken it in the winter. It's the first time we've ever seen growth. So it's, I don't want to say take it with a grain of salt, but it's also important just to understand that there's a lot to be learned from this. And so this is just a first-hand look. So you'll notice that the red bar that goes across, that's our district goal. We set that as a benchmark just based on history and previous experience and just kind of paying attention to research. So just looking at just at 60% proficiency there. So you can kind of see how each grade level does with that. The first page there just shows a math and reading comparison for proficiency only in the winter. Then the next page will show math in comparison from fall to winter. And the same thing with reading. Again, that's just proficiency. The next 2 pages will be math, is about math, and these are about growth targets met. So within the system, MAP will tell us what students should grow in terms of their RIT score. And so these percentages reflect the percentage of kids who met that target or exceeded it. Initially, we set just a baseline of 50%. Based on our MAP, the training that we had with MAP, they had said as an initial baseline, you want to set that at 50% and just kind of see how students perform based on that.
So does that mean we want to see 50% of kids grow?
We want to see 50% of kids meet their growth targets.
Okay, and then the number on the bar is how many?
Is the percentage of students who met their growth
grade,
targets. Yep. And then so 47% is the district for in math. So the next table then shows just the percentage of students who grew at all. So we're looking at just 1 point. Some kids in lower elementary, kindergarten through 2nd grade, their expectation might have been closer to 10 or 12 points. Just that's very common. As students get older, their expectation for growth decreases. So which we would expect. So in theory, their RIT score would be going up as they're getting older, as they're getting more access to instruction. So that means that their growth targets would be smaller. But again, this is only looking at, did they grow or not? So did they have at least 1 point of growth? And ideally there, we would want 100% of kids growing. So we got really close in a couple of grades. As a district, we're sitting at about 74% in math, 73.5. So not bad for a baseline. I was telling administrators, I said, don't panic too badly. The first time that I ever went through this as a building principal, we had a little less than 60% of kids show growth, and we were like fist bumping and running around the room, high-fiving all our friends. So we're in a good spot. So now we know what data the assessment's gonna show us and where we need to be at. So next 2 pages then are the reading in terms of growth targets met. A little closer as a district there to our average. Really, really solid data coming out of 1st and 2nd and 9th. So had some pretty darn good growth in those 3 grades. And then in terms of any growth shown, again, K and 2 were really, really close. I think 2nd grade was only 1 student away from actually hitting 100%, which is and this is really hard to do. Getting 100% of kids to grow, you would think it's every kid can grow. It's really hard. So to get everybody there, but that's our any growth shown. And then I have some questions that I had prepared our administrators for ahead of time. That if our board has any questions about
the day for them.
I'm gonna kind of combine the first two, like what surprised you, what made you feel good about those results? Just overall. Anybody, whoever, sure.
I can start if you want. Well, we were really encouraged about, kindergarten and second grade, actually, were really encouraging, to us. First grade, that was surprising. That was something that we're just trying to figure out, you know, exactly what's next. And same with third grade, I would say that the teachers were kind of like, okay, yeah, what's next? Now what? Now what do we do? So, but we had a couple of grades with great growth. So, you know, one or two students off of showing any growth at all. So that was and that was our goal. That was our building goal, so.
I would say. Going work.
Probably the biggest surprise that I had, I looked at the data with boys and girls, and the 10th grade girls in math, 78% of them were proficient, sorry, I'm fighting a cold, proficient in math, and 76 proficient in reading, which they just rocked it, those girls in 10th grade. We also had 9th and 10th graders in the high average category grew. The 9th graders grew 2%, the 10th graders grew 7%. One of the things we're trying to get 100% is difficult because some of the kids that are up in those high ranges, it's difficult to sneak up yet another one. And that's why sometimes they fall 1 or 2 points. And it looks like they're not growing, but they're already way up there. That was interesting. I was impressed about that. The surprise, I don't know about surprise, but one of the things that may come up in some of the other questions is there's will and skill. The skill part, if you can pull all the skills out of the kids to put on that paper, it's awesome. But it's the will of, why do I have to do this? What am I getting out of it? And just the presentation of the test. And there's some things that I've listed. I won't go through all of them, but there's a plan to try to address the will part of why is this important? And it's kind of a complex Rubik's Cube with when kids are taking a high stress test going, what's in it for me? Why do I need to try my hardest when they get frustrated and go, do I quit? Or do I keep trying? So it's kind of a whole nother issue, but anyway.
Has it ever been thought of as far as like some type of incentive?
Yes.
And I know it's kind of an oxymoron. I mean, you shouldn't have to bribe them to, but we were talking and just one person's like, I had a bad day. I didn't want to take the test, whatever. So it's just like, well, that really is hard for us and you guys to judge what's actually going on. So
let me quickly go through some of the things that I want to do. I did a video before of explaining why the MAP test is important and do your best, because our guidance staff would look at that and recommend classes for you to take. If you don't do well in these state assessments, you know, it's hard for them to say, well, you could do this college class. And then you get into this conversation you really shouldn't have to have if you try your best. The other thing is that there's an application on the MAP test where you can set goals. I like teachers to set goals with kids so they kind of own it and say, this is where you scored. If you're going to grow, you need to hit this next score, and have the kids actually look at it. What do I need to do that? Kind of a short conversation to get them to own it a little bit. One of the things that we've done in the past with the state assessment is snacks. And MHS is willing to do snacks to say, this is so important. We want you to be on your game. We're going to do snacks, drinks, or whatever. This is important. And that goes back to, we have to make sure when we deliver, we're taking MAP testing, that we're not going, oh boy, we have to do this, because then the kids will shut down. It's like, we need you to do your best. One of the things that's kind of out there a little bit, open campus is a huge thing for high school kids. And sometimes they sneak out when they shouldn't until their parents call, and it kind of gets this roller coaster. Thinking about doing between MAP testing, if you grow, you can get a punch card that has 5 punches on it, and you can use that card to have open campus 5 times between MAP testing. You have parent permission, and then we'll click it. There'll be some rules, like if you're late, you lose a punch, because that's always the concern of, if they leave, will they come back on time? And it's not an all open campus all year long. It's more of what the kids want. You Now, we're not gonna cancel school, but you wanna go get A&W, whatever, you can do it legitly, not like mom and dad, and do it 5 times, over the course of a long period of time. So it's just stuff like that, trying to figure out how do you get the teenagers to buy into this. Sorry for the long-winded speech. There you go.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is my first go around with MAP, and I was a little skeptical, maybe more just afraid. I didn't know what to expect. I have to say, on the back side of it, the information is really good. It's very detailed, way better, in my opinion, than what we get from the state when we do state testing, and it allows you to really hone in on missing skills for kids or understand which skills are really good. One of the things that it reminded me of, though, is, I think Brian mentioned this, that our high performers don't always perform on these tests like we'd like them to, and sometimes our low performers hit it out of the park. And that's always fun to see when that happens. We at the middle school have an ESSA plan, by and large, because the population of students who are served by an IEP have not grown at the same rate as those who are not served by an IEP. And so one of the things I'm trying to keep my eye on with our MAP testing is how are those students doing? And that was one of the things that impressed me. In reading, 46% of our students met their projected growth, which I understand Mr. Abbott's mentioned 50 would be the target, but again, these are some of our lowest performing students, and they really did well. In fact, in the 8th grade specifically, we had 6 out of 8 meet their performance projections or growth projections in both reading and math. So I think those are good things. Probably the thing that surprised me, and we have students that are low, but sometimes, really looking at the student by student and understanding how many we have that are really low, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. And it's just a good reminder that even when some of our kids do really well, we still got a lot of work to do.
Thanks. I wasn't expecting us to probably ask all of them, but was there any others? If you, there's one on there, your burning question.
Well, I like the incentives portion for the kids, because I do have one of those amazing sophomore girls that did so well that we had to have a little conversation about why this is important and why we do care about what we're doing. So the other half of the equation, then you've got your students and you've got your teachers. So what sort of skills and practices are we going to, or ideas you have to help your teachers meet the goals that we've kind of laid out in the map?
So actually what I brought something that we shared. It's an infographic Aaron Daniel made, by the way. But here, just take one. If you have a student in the elementary, did you get this? Okay, I put it on my board slide, but it is a communication tool about our school improvement plan goals. Like I said, our Aaron Daniel made this. This went home with our letter to families. And what we're gonna do at the elementary, that's something that our guiding coalition actually is discussing tomorrow. We not only did we look at MAP data, we also looked at attendance data. And we're looking at because that was one of our goals for our school improvement plan. So how do our students perform, when they're here, if they're chronically absent? How well are they performing on our assessment? So anyway, we really dug in as a leadership team and looked at that information last week and decided last Monday, came up with the idea that we need to communicate this to parents because, they know what our goal is. So we came up with this infographic first, and then we had conversations in our PLC teams with staff. What do you guys notice and wonder about reading and math and attendance data? What do you think are some next action steps? So we've been just having conversations all of last week and this week. Tomorrow, we're going to discuss as our leadership team now what, because we just collected all of our responses, from staff. So our leadership team is gonna take a look at our next steps, Michelle, to figure out now what do we need to put into action for the rest of the school year to ensure that we meet our goals on our school improvement plan. So I kind of answered number 4, but anyway.
Audrey, will you say again, just
Yeah.
read to the people not looking at this,
Okay.
no, just the top, what your percent was before and what it is now? Cause that's a
For-
good improvement.
For attendance?
Yes.
Okay,
Just
so
on your.
So our goal, one of our school goals was about attendance. Our chronic absenteeism will decrease 50% from last year, 21-22, to this year, 22-23. Last year's goal, or last year's data said we were 29% chronically absent. 29% of our students, which meant they missed 10% or more of school throughout the whole year. So
17, 18.
yep, 17, 18 days. So they missed more than that. This year, we are at 18%. So that is almost cut in half. That's very close to cut in half, and that was our goal. So we're really close. And how we calculated that data was the percentage of days that they were absent up till when I pulled the report. It was January 23rd or something. Actually, Emily did it, but so they missed, I think, 9 or more days of school. Does that make sense? Because it was about halfway through.
I just
So-
wanted you to tell everybody that that's really good.
Yeah, we've improved a lot. And now
They're
what we're looking at is how do the students perform on map testing that are chronically absent? Does that affect them? So
How are you contributing to decreasing that number?
Well, honestly, that was a plan that we kind of made a plan at the beginning of the year to just increase our awareness and communication. That was really what we followed through with so far this year. We had
Communication with parents.
communication with parents and communication with staff, actually. So we're just trying to reach out more just to make people more aware. We've done that through phone calls. The teachers all have Remind set up, so they'll, text their families when they're gone. We've had a handful of attendance meetings, not very many, but those are all things, we're just trying to figure out what are the barriers that are preventing kids from coming to school, because they are not the same. For every situation's different. So we're just trying to help families problem solve through communication right now. That has been a piece of our conferences, and it will be again next week, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you remember the question? Yeah, sorry.
I kind of have a narrow and a wide approach. The narrow approach would be the math and reading teachers, looking at those kids that are kind of almost proficient and what are the skill gap areas that they have, what are the essentials that they need. And just thank my lucky stars that we have math and reading instructional coach, that's Karen over there. And we have Wendy, a building level coach, to help with that. That's kind of that narrow focus of who are those kids that are almost proficient, and what gaps do they have, and what can we do to fill those gaps. The wider approach is that we have seminar during the school day, and initially that was RTI, response to intervention, and then it moved to MTSS, multi-tiered system of supports. The theory behind that was to fill skill gaps and to teach things that the kids just didn't get in class and to reteach skills. It's kind of moved to homework, clubs, presentations, good stuff, but we kind of moved away from that. And we've started conversations about what if we infuse that time back into the classroom, and you can target those kids while you have them right there versus transitioning to seminar. And we have a few that escape down then and don't go where they're supposed to be. What does that look like, and what kind of professional development do we need to put it back into the classroom when you have those kids right in front of you? So we started that conversation, but I think that's more of a wider view, especially for those teachers that don't teach math and reading every day, but there's still important concepts that you can use into those content areas. So we don't want them to just say, I'm not a math teacher, I'm not a reading teacher. Yeah, we all are in different ways. So it's just learning about that, what that looks like. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Is that something that you can start, you can start now, or you wait until next calendar year, or?
Changing the schedule probably for next year. If we do that, we just kind of started that conversation. We sent out a Google survey of how are you using seminar? Is it beneficial? Those type of questions just to start the feedback. But it would be for next year to start.
And I would say that students perform best over time when the curriculum is aligned with the instruction, which is aligned with the assessment. So big picture is how do we tighten that up so that we're teaching what we're saying we're teaching, and then we're assessing what we taught, making sure that that is a tight alignment. There's short-term, medium-term, long-term. Brian, I like the way you mentioned that. There's focused and broad. Immediately after the first time, the fall map administration, we had requests for materials. Well, we've got all this data now. How do we meet all these needs? Because we now know, maybe we knew before, but we weren't paying as close attention. We've got kids in this area and they need this skill and this skill, and I can't create 53 lesson plans every day. That's just not feasible. So what do we do? So we immediately started piloting. Well, the coaches got together and looked at a couple of different resources, and then we decided to do a pilot of IXL. So we're currently in IXL, which is an online resource. That's a short-term type of thing. In the medium term, time was really important. After Mr. Abbott's took us administratively and leadership team through the map reflection and analysis, it was apparent that we needed to also do something with the teachers in reading and math, because we need to represent our commitment with time to look at that and process it. So last week our reading team went. This week we're a little short on subs, but they're doing it broken up over a couple of days. They're getting to go through what we went through administratively to try to look at the pluses, the minuses, what can we grow on, how do we move forward, what's an action plan look like? And then we've been talking as a coaching team, what should it look like going forward? Just as Mr. Phillips mentioned, there's a scheduling piece there too. So what's ideal if we're going to provide the instruction that our curriculum, which I now think is in a pretty good place, even though our teachers are still learning it, especially in math, it's in a good direction. It's moving in a really positive direction. How much time do we need to do that on a daily basis? And then how much time do we need to intervene? And what should that look like? So long-term, we're looking at, does our schedule adequately support what our teachers and curriculum specialists are saying we need to make sure that alignment is there? So we're working on each of those.
Well, academic excellence, that was a thing, and an educational leader was a big thing when we hired, so I feel like we're all feeling that, so thank you. If anybody has any other questions, ask principals. I think we'll keep moving forward. I think we got a vibe, yeah? Okay. Okay, thank you, principals.
I actually have one more.
Oh.
Sorry. Do you need anything from us to make your role more successful that you can then go out and do what you need to do?
The only thing that I can think of is the support for the telehealth and the mental health, because the kids aren't mentally focused, they're not gonna do well on tests. And of course, supporting the instructional coaches, I think is a lifesaver for a lot of us. Those are two things off the top of my head. But and the other one is I really like the building level focusing in on the 4 board goals, because it helps keep us focused on what the district stands for. And I really like that this year, to hone in on those 4 things. So those are 3 things I think. I'm sure Audrey and Connor like, yeah, that.
Okay. Any other board committee reports? Nothing, okay. We're gonna keep moving on reports, other administrative reports. Everybody get a chance to look at the administrative. I don't think we'll go through them page by page. If you've all had a chance to read them, unless anybody has any other questions. I think we've covered a lot of those.
I guess just an observation I had on all of them, and some, I mean, everyone's different depending upon what your area is, but it's nice I love seeing the highlights, but I also like to see like, hey, we're struggling in this and this is what we're trying to do. Like, so some of that feedback sometimes is helpful to know as well, but I love all the good positive things for sure, so. I guess that's other people that I'm looking for too.
Okay, we're gonna move on to, do we have a report?
I do. He's at state
Okay.
wrestling. So.
Very
that
good.
was kind of silly of us, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
We threw
That's
Kirk
okay.
Davis on for a construction program update, and he is coaching it
He's at
state wrestling,
yeah.
so,
Yep.
Brett's gonna give a quick
Yep, so
report
just,
on,
just-
update on that.
So, Mr. Davis just said currently students are working on finishing the framing portion of the roof. When the weather does not cooperate, they've been working through their online OSHA 10 class that the students do through Iowa Central. And that's it.
Okay, we are gonna move to new business, the 2023-24 negotiated agreement initial offer from our people at the Greene County Education Association.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Wonderful, long time no see.
Okay, can do. This is our initial proposal, and I guess the key word is initial, right? So we've got to get the ball started somewhere. And so
Thank you.
I'll just read it up through to you real quick. All right, so our initial proposal is to get the ball rolling, and the association proposes that the base salary increase from $33,350 to $34,900. That's a 6% total district cost. That's not all salary. There's, insurance increases and those types of things. The total package is $500,459. So there we go. I guess it's kind of short and sweet. And we just look forward to work with you guys. It's always been a great experience in the past, and I'm sure it will continue that way. So great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, see you soon.
Does the next proposal come, it comes from the board, but does it have to be at a school board meeting?
It does not,
It has to be in an open.
in an open meeting, but not a regular school
Right.
board, so we'll look at getting
Oh,
that set.
we'll set a time and communicate. Yep.
Sure, yep, sounds good.
Okay, driver permits. They probably waited the longest that anybody's had to wait for driver permits. So do we have? Let's see. And actually, I forget. I turned this over to Michelle. I almost started again. So Michelle's gonna kind of roll this part here for us.
All right, Colors, you're all sitting over here? Yeah. Okay. What we want you to do is just go one at a time. I'll call your names and we want you to stand up. Tell us who you are, where you live, and why you need a school permit. And first on my list is Martine Lozano.
Hi, I'm Martin Lozano. I live in Ricky, Iowa. The reason why I need the school permit to drive to school is because sometimes my mom can't drive me because of her sickness that she has. And I join after school activities and all that. So sometimes she can't take me and she's very busy sometimes. So I want to drive myself. So that's why I want to get a school permit.
All right, thank you. Next, Carter Hino.
My name is Carter Hino. I live in Jefferson, Iowa, and I need a school permit because I'm in multiple extracurricular activities. I'm in many sports, and in the spring, I'm in 2 sports, golf and soccer, and my brother is not in those sports, and he's the one who's been giving me rides everywhere, so I need a school permit just to get to those places and to get to school.
All right, thanks, Carter.
We don't have parental support, really.
Joey.
My name is Joey France. I live in Grand Junction, and I need a school permit so I can get to lifting in the morning, and so I can get to school.
Great, thank you. So you all hopefully have your form with you. I just want to point out a couple other things that you may or may not have already read over as you had your paperwork. Important thing is you can drive between 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. So if you're at an activity, football or whatever, and the bus doesn't get back until 10, 11 o'clock at night, you need to have an alternative, somebody pick you up because you cannot drive after 10 or before 5 a.m. Your route is you're driving from home and you're driving to school, and you're driving from school and you're driving to home. If you need to stop and get fuel along the way, that's okay, but it needs to be probably your closest gas station along the way. And you can drive to and from school-sponsored activities like early morning lifting or practice, not because somebody needs a ride somewhere. Stop at school, yeah, we did that one. You can carry with you one other person that's not a relative that lives in your house, so one of your siblings. So you can carry one friend with you, that's it.
They have to start at your house. You can't stop and pick them up along the way.
Yep. Okay, this is gonna be a hard one, and one that I've struggled with my girls. No electronic communication devices. So you're going from school to home, home to school. So you don't need your map. You don't need a map on your phone to tell you where to go. School and back, that's it. And does anybody know what happens if you get pulled over and your license gets suspended or revoked? Or you get a ticket? 6 months, 6 months, you're out. You're back to begging other people for a ride. So remember. Yeah. So remember, there are other people watching you, not just the cops. Okay.
The sporting thing, remember the sporting is only for here. We can't, sports are only for our sports. Like there's a basketball game in Carroll, you can't drive to that. You can only come to our sports.
Yep, yep. Okay. So, your next step is that paper has to be signed.
Yeah. After a motion is made.
After we make a motion. By Bonnie, and then the next step is you have to make sure that you've completed your driver's education, and then you'll go to the treasurer's office in the courthouse on the second floor, the top of the stairs, take a right. Because I've said that about 100 times. That's your next step before your school permit will be issued. So with that, I would like to make a motion. Can I do that? Yeah. Okay. That the 3 students as presented be approved for a school permit. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Very good, congrats. Let me consign those if you guys want to bring them up, and then you can choose to leave or choose to stay. And then we're gonna move right along to fundraising requests. If everyone wants to take a look, we just have one. Very much. You are welcome. That's all right.
It's probably wrong.
Yeah, you'll probably just come back another board meeting.
We'll get you this like. Just great, Jeff. I'll say 7 miles, you're fine.
Oh. All right, drive safe. You are welcome. All right, do we have a motion to approve the PAWS volleyball tournament fundraiser for accelerated government?
I just had a question on this.
Sure.
Do you know, is this just a volleyball tournament within the high school? It's not outside teams coming in?
Nope, it's at the high school, it's with our high
Just
school.
with our students.
I think I even heard rumors that there's a staff team.
Ooh, awesome. Okay. All right,
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Dominic. Silva.
Aye. Okay, then we're gonna move on along to board policy review, 408.3 through 409.5. I did not see any changes on here. Anyone have any questions on any of those?
I'll make a motion to approve board policy 408.3 to 409.5.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Okay, and then we have a new first reading of a new board policy, 804.05 stock prescription medication supply. So I'm gonna, Brett, will you just touch on that one?
Yep, so this is, we need to have a board policy in place if we are going to purchase something called an opioid antagonist, which is essentially Narcan. If we ever had a student or staff member or anybody who might be overdosing on something with an opioid, then we would have the ability to use Narcan. However, to be able to administer Narcan, you have there's the training that has to be involved. And so our 3 school nurses are for sure going to be involved in that. So if it happens at one building or another, if we need to have them go over, then we can. It's a life-saving instrument. We not in my personal building last year, but it was used in my previous district last year multiple times. You'll notice that there is the strikeout of the epinephrine auto injector and then the bronchodilator canister. That is not included in this. We were intentionally taking that out. And this policy was straight developed off of the IASB. So we copied it, of course, but for us to be able to use the state purchasing system to purchase the Narcan, which gives us it's at a significantly reduced rate. We know where it's coming from, and that training all goes along with it. we have to have this policy in place for that to be able to happen. So,
And when will that be in schools?
so once our policy is approved, so it would be after our next meeting, we'd go forward with the purchasing process of the opioid antagonist or Narcan, and then it would be in our schools within a week after that.
Has there ever been consideration about EpiPens?
I
Purchasing
think it's
those?
probably on this case by case basis if the student requires an EpiPen, if they happen to have one on hand, but it's not been a conversation we've ever had, so.
And then besides school nurses, will anybody else? I'm thinking specifically like, and maybe it's not our responsibility, but at sporting events or fine arts events,
Yeah.
there may be somebody in the audience that. Bus driver.
Yeah.
That would,
Those are bridges we'll have to
okay,
cross. I mean, so.
let's get this done
we
first.
can always get more people trained, so
yeah.
that's not a.
So
that's
it
not a
does say
concern.
school nurse or authorized personnel.
Right.
So-
So, and right now, so we're just gonna start with nurses
Yep.
and just see what that is. Anybody who else wants to be able to administer this would have to go through the training that's provided. So, yep.
Okay, so would we have a motion to approve the first reading of this new board policy 804.05?
I would make a motion to approve the first reading of board policy 804.05.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Davidic.
Aye.
O'Connell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Okay, next is the Teacher Paraeducator Registered Apprenticeship Grant. Like mentioned, Carla DeZuris is going to go into this program. I think we have 2 others, maybe 3. And so because of this grant, we have to make sure that our minimum wage matches what is required for that,
For those employees.
for just those employees. And if they happen to drop out of the program, they would go back to what it was originally supposed to be, correct?
Yep.
Okay, anything else you want to touch on with that?
Nailed it.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve? You can see the wages up there. Motion to approve those wages as needed.
I'll make a motion to approve the minimum wage scale for the paraeducator registration apprenticeship grant.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Davidic.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Lucky to have those people doing that. Okay, student club request, high school book club. Ms. Carter, we just need to make a motion. Is there any questions on this? Otherwise, we don't need to have them speak. We can make it.
They're ready to
Oh.
answer questions. These are capable seniors, so ask away. At least ask one.
How will you get kids to, join the book club?
Oh, well, oh, gross.
Yeah.
Sorry. Talk about my, you know that.
So we kind of have a band group. I know like lots of sports activities use this to communicate. So if people are interested, we just make sure that they get on that, and then that's how we communicate and send out our meeting dates. And yeah.
How are you gonna choose your books?
Well, as of right now, we're just kind of getting started. So we're just sharing what we're currently reading, and eventually, as we get more developed and we potentially have funds or whatever, we will look into all reading the same book at the same time.
Very good. How will you tie field trips into books?
Where do we really want to go, ladies?
Just say it.
Bam. We want.
To books a million and Ames is the field trip.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, we have
wonderful.
several in mind.
Okay.
I would
I
say
like
one
that.
on Main Street.
I don't know.
Dog ears.
Dogs,
yes.
yes. Oh, very good. Okay, so field trips to bookstores versus field trips to, maybe you're gonna read Bridges of Madison County.
Maybe you could graduate to that.
Maybe we'll work up to that.
Okay,
We
Well,
would
in
like
this,
to be a school sanctioned club, so we could possibly do a fundraiser if needed. We've discussed T-shirts, because we want to be a unified group. Mr. Phillips did mention to me, I think in front of these 2 young ladies, there might be some funds available that he could give us a little bit of starting.
well, good luck with that. That sounds great.
Yes. thanks.
In the spirit of keeping us moving, if we don't have any other questions, let's look for a motion to approve their book club.
I'll make a motion to approve the high school book club.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please call it in.
McConnell.
Aye.
Dominic.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
I was just thinking.
Soba, aye.
Seniors. Soba.
I got it.
You don't care.
No, I'm good. It already passed.
No, I was just thinking that, do the seniors feel cheated if they only got a few months?
They're gonna make the most out of the
That's
time.
what I was thinking.
So we really need a trip. Very good.
You said t-shirts.
Okay, we are gonna move on ahead to summer projects, the middle school electrical lighting project. This is one we hadn't heard of before, and then we got this, so talk about that a little bit.
Yep, so it's just two bids for the work that needs to be done in the kitchen and cafeteria here in the middle school. So we had two different bids, one from Countywide Electric, which is here in town, and then Treese.
So
Yeah,
we would probably look at hiring Countrywide.
that would be
Do,
up for
do we need
discussion.
to make that?
Yes.
We're making a call?
Yes.
Okay, my quick question would be, are there like good thresholds that we didn't utilize, at the engineering firm that we did with the, roof?
Yes, it's 50,000.
50,000, okay.
Oh, if it's over that.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, then
So this-
number.
And then we have to go through the bid bonds and all that fun stuff, but yeah, so
Okay.
we're staying close
So
to
we're
that.
underneath, so we can just make that decision.
Right, and this is just an amount that was high enough that I don't think you guys probably need to make a motion on that.
Okay.
So yeah, so we have the two bids, it's the exact same scope of work, that's just, there is a difference, price of about 10,000 between one and the other. So I'll let you guys decide what you want to do.
Somebody want to make a motion? And then,
Any
well,
discussion?
another question,
Yeah.
as far as the rebates, then, will Countrywide take care of the rebate process, or do we have to fill
It's,
it all out?
it's all done, it's all done by
They
them.
take care of that,
Yep.
okay.
So then we would be approving the $15,444 amount.
We'd be
As-
actually
as
approving
soon-
probably
After
the
the
17,605.97 with the assumption we'll get the rebate.
Right.
John, any thoughts from you?
No, that was just like, they're apple to apples, not quite the same, but it's such a huge difference. It's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
It's like two pictures different from one to the other, but it's not $10,000 worth, so. I'll make a motion to approve Countywide Electric for our summer lighting project. The amount of $17,605.97 with a projected rebate from a line of $21.65.
I will second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dominic.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
McConnell.
Aye.
Right. And then 2023-2024 shared swimming agreement. I'm gonna let Mr. Wright maybe discuss that.
All right, last fall I was approached by, we currently have an agreement with Boone for swimming, for this school year and have in the past. And from my understanding, there hasn't been a swimmer go to Boone for several years, many years. So I was approached by a couple of parents and a couple of kids. There is a stronger connection with the Carroll club swimming team. And they requested or asked if it'd be possible to share swimming with Carroll, and then we would have more kids willing to do that. For whatever reason, going to Boone has not been something that kids have wanted to do. So I have communicated, and actually last fall, Carroll High's athletic director, approached me or inquired with me if, because their coach was, the kids must work with the coach or something. So at any rate, long story short, we are able to, Carroll is willing to accept us to share swimming with them, based on the feedback I've gotten from students and from community, some parents that have students that swim. I think it would be a better fit. So I would propose that we seek and get an agreement with Carroll for swimming, which breaking with Boone once the school year is over is not, it's not.
Are we just not gonna renew it, just not renew an agreement, or would we be breaking an agreement?
We wouldn't be breaking it, we just wouldn't renew it.
And so the reason why we're putting it in front of you guys just is to have an action to
agree to separate with the anticipation that we're going to join Carroll. Carroll will have to board approve it. When I talked to Casey, that's what their process is. It seems like our process in the past has just been to just sign it and whatever, but just since this is a formal agreement, we're actually going to be sharing with a new set of districts, because I don't think it's just Carroll. I think they had one kid from Harlan, they had one kid from East Sac. I mean, so it's kind of a consortium again. That's very common for swimming. So we just want to have the more official status behind it, that it's in front of our board. We've agreed to it, and it's the motion we're going to make.
So okay, so do we need a motion to not renew the agreement?
How about not continue?
Not continue, discontinue sharing with.
Is that something we do prior to being accepted somewhere else?
So I'm going on the written agreement that I have from Dr. Burnwell. We're good to go. So,
okay.
And no ill will towards Boone, it just,
No,
everybody's got
no.
a strong thing in Carroll, and if we had to go back, yeah,
there's really
nothing,
strong.
everybody's swimming.
It's been like that for the kids, volleyball, baseball. It's that we do a lot more with Carroll stuff.
And there really hasn't been we've had the opportunity and agreement with Boone, but there really hasn't been anybody swimming over there for years, so. It's just kind of, we just think for our kids, and that's my opinion.
So I would move to discontinue the swimming agreement with Boone and enter into a shared swimming agreement with Carroll.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
McConnell.
Aye.
Davidic.
Aye.
Fields.
Aye.
Silva.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.